Deerfield Reservoir is located 20 miles to the west of Hill City, South Dakota. It's maintained by the Bureau of Reclamation, and it is really a wonderful little lake. They have a restriction on making wakes, so you can't run any kind of a boat that's going to leave a wake in the water, which means that almost all boats are kind of out, except for maybe ones with little trolling motors. But the trout fishing is really wonderful here. And I've enjoyed trout fishing Deerfield Lake a lot. In the wintertime, they have ice skating and snowmobiling and ice fishing on the lake. So it's really quite a nice lake for recreation. I was walking along the shore and I came across this sign. And it was a sign, as you can see, that was alerting people to the danger of invasive species. And they showed pictures of them, as you see here, of several: the zebra mussel, the whirling disease in trout. That's a disease that causes the trout to be deformed in its spine, and then it can't swim well. It would go in a circle. That's why they call it whirling disease. And there's another one that's called the Didymo, which is rock snot. It's actually an algae that is very devastating to lakes. There's the rusty crayfish, and then another one called the New Zealand mud snail. These are all invasive species that can really upset the ecology of a local lake, and so they're asking people to make sure they're not spreading those around. If you go to one lake and you fish or whatever, check your boat to make sure there's none of this stuff that's sticking to it, or that you're not taking it from one lake to another lake. Invasive species can be a problem. And you know, invasive species can be a problem for our Christian life too. And we could talk about a lot of invasive species, so to speak, that would affect our life. But I want to talk about one in particular. And that is the invasive species of hate. It's in epidemic proportion in our society. Hate. I heard recently of an individual who said that they and their friends were praying that a certain political individual and family would all die. They were praying for that. That's just evil. That's just plain evil to pray something like that. If we are Christians, we certainly would not, in good conscience, pray something like that, because Jesus was very specific about how we are to pray for those who are in leadership over us, or pray for our enemies. He said in Matthew chapter 5, verses 43 and 40 to 45, "You have heard that it was said, 'You shall love your neighbor and hate your enemy.' But I say to you, love your enemies and pray for those who persecute you, so that you may be sons of your Father who is in heaven. For he makes his sun rise on the evil and on the good, and sends rain on the just and on the unjust." Now, that's a hard thing for us to try to get a hold of, isn't it? In a society right now that is so volatile, we're so divided in this country, and it's very easy to allow hate to invade our life and to take over our life. But Jesus says we're not supposed to do that. We're not supposed to hate our enemies. We're supposed to love them and pray for them. You say, well, what are you supposed to do then? Just let them have their way? No. You stand for truth. You don't hate. You stand for truth. And you stand for truth in love. That's the way that we have to live our lives as Christians. Because if we allow that invasive species of hate to overtake our lives, it will destroy us. It will captivate us, and so that every waking hour we're just consumed by it. That's what hate does. Next time, when you're listening to someone that on TV or watching them on TV that is saying something that you know is wrong and you know is not the truth, pray for them. Pray for them. Realize that they are an individual that Jesus died on the cross for, and pray for them. And pray that they would know the truth, because as Jesus said, the truth will set you free. So, today, I want my life to do good. I want to do good wherever I go. And part of that doing good is to do the hard thing of loving my enemies and praying for them. God bless you.